Coming up in today's episode, we show one of our favorite stocks just recently added to our watch list. What is that stock? They're calling it the Flying Taxi, ACIC, merging with Archer Aviation. But first, Sam and Jord, how are you guys doing today?
Yeah, good day today.
Red
Been
market.
doing a bit of research this week as well. A bit weird market today. Obviously, everything's quite red. It's probably for the fourth day in a row now. So yeah, fun times. But we're getting through it. Long-term investments.
Yeah, very much the same, to be honest. Just hoping, pretty much holding everything I've got at the moment, hoping for a few better weeks to come, to be honest. But yeah, there's a few silver linings looking like they're about to come through. So I'm hoping they very much come through this week.
So what were your thoughts on the merger? Obviously, the valuation is 3.8 billion. And they're calling it Uber for the air, so flying taxis.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on
that? It's one of the biggest mergers I've seen in a while. Obviously, it's expected to provide them with 1.1 billion in cash post-merger. Obviously, it solves one of the biggest issues basically in the airline industry, which is emissions and pollution. Obviously, we saw in our space video about the previous stock, which was I forgot the name of now, but obviously they were making supersonic planes, which were which were entirely carbon neutral. So this is basically almost a bit of a competitor for that, really. What was most interesting is that obviously they're a fair way off yet. Deliveries are meant to start from 2024, but the thing which interested me the most was the United Airlines order. So you might have seen they put an order in for $1 billion for 200 aircraft, with the option of 500 million for another 100. Which is a huge offer considering this company very much has no revenue at the moment, no sort of proof of concept as such yet. I don't know, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I really liked it. The guy, the co-founder, Adam Goldstein, he started and he's made a dozen companies, mostly started in the software industry, but changed to this and believes the EV sector will lead the way. He was saying himself, he's a huge Elon Musk fan, and says he has shares in Tesla, SpaceX. I was reading up on the actual vehicle itself. So the initial one travels up to 60 miles at about 150 miles per hour. And he was saying this can give passengers sort of a 10 times faster than a car on its current vehicle model. So like you were saying with the manufacturing, I think this year they're supposed to be showing the full scale of the electric vehicle, both takeoff and landing. Yeah. Jordan, I don't know if you've got anything to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I echo a lot of what Sam said as well. And I also noticed that they have quite a talented team on board as well. They've got a bunch of people from Airbus, from Mitsubishi. I think there were people from a lot of really reputable organizations. So it's not like, they don't know what they're doing. There's a group of people who really understand what they're actually making. And also they've got a multi-year agreement with, I think it was like a group of companies that is Fiat and Peugeot, and there were a bunch of car companies all combined into one. So not only do they have United, they also have quite a long agreement with some large auto manufacturers as well. So I think it's a pretty stable pick. It's a good merger in my eyes.
I think for sort of evaluating the stock, when they've got such a good board behind them, that really dictates how well the stock will go. A lot of these stocks are very much, they've got no revenue, they've got no proof of concept. Their delivery is not for another 5-6 years, so you're very much investing in the people. Same with a lot of the Spacs and different areas like that we've seen. You're essentially just hedging a bet at the moment on the people there. Obviously, they're benefiting from obviously the contracts that they've got in place at the moment, which obviously is why they've got such a high valuation. The EV sector for aircraft is expected to be $1.5 trillion by 2050. So there's huge growth potential really in the market, and especially the fact that it's vertical takeoff and landing. So there's no airports and terminals, etc., that they'll have to dock at. They can just literally land on the spot, take off on the spot. So really it avoids all the taxiing around runways, things like that, and it can make, so obviously that's why you see the interest from United Airlines. It would make their life a lot easier. It could reduce the cost of ground staff, and obviously reduce the cost on fuels and other areas like that as well.
Yeah, another aspect was sound, because that was another concern, and obviously with it being electric, the sound can reduce and minimize it to almost you can't hear it. But he was saying, which is quite interesting, it's no science breakthrough. The helicopter itself is made up by 6 independent batteries with 12 propellers. And people's main concern was obviously safety, which is, a fair thing with this new technology. But reading up on it, the vehicle itself could not be more safe. He was saying with helicopters, they have about 200 to 300 critical parts. And if any of those parts fail, there's some serious problems. And obviously at the end, it can crash. He said those propellers, if one, obviously an example would be like a bird strike, he said, and a propeller went down, he said, you wouldn't even know about it. He said they can have about 3 propellers go without there being any serious problems. And same with the batteries, because they're independent batteries, they're not linked all together, so they can have one go down. And after all that as well, they can glide. So he said that they haven't designed it and got a certificate for that, but they can glide down, which I think just obviously adds to the value of them massively.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was having a look at the financials for it, which is the bit I'm most skeptical about. Obviously, they've said that they estimate 42 million in 2024, 1 billion by 2025, and 2 billion in 2026, which obviously you can see the United Airlines contract will be in that partly.
Yeah.
But I can't see them being able to mass produce 200 aircraft that quickly in the space of a year.
That was their main. They were saying it's not a concern, but it's something they're working on is mass production. And that's their main focus and almost the problem in building that up.
That was my main issue really. It just seemed almost a ridiculous target. I mean, it does have the potential with the contracts they've got in place, but unless they can find some way of mass producing it, then really that sort of revenue estimate is based on a lot of moving parts. If they aren't able to find a specialist, obviously this is technology which has been around, but it hasn't been used in this way. So they've got to find a bespoke manufacturer to mass produce it, which will require obviously investment. There'll be a lot of teething issues. We've seen it in things like Elon Musk said before with Teslas. The main struggle is mass producing cars, and he accepted there's so many faults in manufacturing.
And I think that will be their issue, isn't it? Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, you could probably easily make 1 or 2 of these things as a as a proof of concept, but when you've actually got to churn out hundreds, thousands, that's when it gets really, really complicated. But
yeah,
I don't know, looking at this as like a disruptive play, I think you can really justify the fact that this could genuinely be like a very big form of transport in the future. I mean, if you look at anything that has to be disruptive, it has to be either 50% cheaper or 50% as good, or twice as good. This is like crossing almost both of those boundaries. It's cheaper and it's better.
It's £50.
Yeah,
currency,
which is a crazy difference, right?
He said, I can see this initially starting off as like business trips or business meetings, and then it's slowly diverting into just normal travel. Because initially, obviously, the train or a bus, it is cheaper, but the convenience of it being in time, whether you can be stuck in traffic for an hour and a half to get into that destination in 20 minutes, which one do you pick?
Yeah, I think this mostly benefits obviously America being such a large area, and a lot of it they don't obviously travel over sea for any of it. Obviously, mainland Europe, Africa, places like you think of Africa, having an aircraft like that where you could just take off from anywhere, land anywhere, in a country which already struggles with transport routes and flights and trains. It doesn't have that infrastructure yet. Could be a bit of a game changer over there.
Yeah, I mean, he said himself, he can't see this like being like happening in the next decade, but by 2050, he almost said you can be looking out your bedroom window and you'll be seeing flying vehicles or taxis, however you want to call them, going about. And for me, I think, like we said, we're in a sort of a new age, and I can see, like George was saying, with transport, a reality in that.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't know what life was like before Amazon. We didn't know what life was like before any of these new companies, right? It's just you don't know it's possible until it actually happens.
Yeah, so. I mean, up till recently, electric cars obviously it just wasn't a thing, and now
exactly,
like you drive anywhere now and you'll pass one. So the technology is coming a long way, and I think airlines will be, and sort of different methods of transportation will be the next one to benefit. I did have a quick look at the chairman of Atlas Investments.
Okay,
he had some rather impressive statistics. So he's returned 125% gains on investments whilst he's been the chairman, and he's grown revenue across the company by over 80%. And obviously, when you've got a company sort of as big as they are across so many investments, that's very impressive statistic. So you'd sort of back the investment there. They've got quite a high-powered team there as well. So I think it could be a really good merger, really. I think the base for this was about $10 and is currently trading around sort of 13, 14. So it's not a huge risk.
Yeah. The upside
I don't know.
Is huge. Obviously with this red week, obviously a lot of stocks have been hit. But there's very minimal risk to this stock. You're talking about 5%, with the upside obviously it's in a market that hasn't actually happened yet. Obviously quite hard to put a target on it. But from what we've seen in the past and read on, we can be looking at a minimum of sort of $20 to $30 per share with a lot of these stocks, very similar to it. ARK Invest, I've actually added it to the portfolio as well now. Which is
only a matter of time before they get involved.
Yeah, and obviously with their space ETF, I don't know if that counts with it. I'm not sure.
It'd probably go into the ARK Q fund, I would imagine.
Yeah.
They're currently trading at 10.61.
Yeah, I mean,
so
low. I think
that is an incredible buy. I mean, they're all the way up.
The thing I like about it
16.
is the guy was saying about innovation. So he was saying once we have our products out there to the public, that's not it. You know, it will be almost like cars. Every year to 2 years, there'll be, for me, I can see it being a new type of vehicle, a new type of flight, maybe every 5 years. So they're always developing it, and obviously that's down to how far it can travel, obviously how fast it can go, how many people it can hold. So it's not like they're going to release a product and that is it. There's going to be years of development on this, and we can see some great things.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of the many sort of long-term stocks where the proof will be when obviously the product's available and the technology's there, really. So as long as that keeps advancing, and it's not so much a company where they've diversified much. They're very much specific. They know what they want, and that's what they're pumping the cash into. Obviously, we saw with different ones like PLTR, Black Sky, a few of the other tech companies that they're trying to diversify and spread their risk. These seem very focused, which is kind of, it's a bit of an all or nothing play. And really, when you got 1.1 billion in cash behind you, like it is, you'll probably make it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got EHang, which is the Chinese rival to that, and they've been extremely successful. I think the technology is there. I think it's just like you were saying, they've just got to tweak it a little bit. And for the price it's at the moment, I would put a high conviction trade on this with minimal downside risk. And obviously at a price target, if you had to give it, I could easily see this as a $20 to $30 play in the long-term future. It will be interesting in the run-up to the merger, as most SPACs, obviously previously as we've traded, usually run up very nicely and drop to a support level, and then you sort of see the true value of a stock from there. So unless you're going to play it running up to the merger, I could see this being sort of a 5-year investment, just obviously with the production going on at the moment and the manufacturing. They're not releasing their plane, and you'll see it going up in the sky in the next 2 years for commercial use. It will just be on show. So it'll be quite interesting when they do show that to the public, which is this year, to see their technology and how it works. Obviously, actually seeing it than just reading about it. And yeah, so a 5-year estimate for me.
Yeah,
5 years sounds about
yeah,
right.
I think. Yeah, it sounds about right, really, from all the forecasts and stuff that they've released. It seems a reasonable amount of time, really, to develop the technology, along with a lot of the other companies we've looked at. That seems to be the time frame when they're sort of all. I mean, it'll end up, if someone releases a particular technological advancement, they'll all hop on the back of the technology at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, will be really good to see, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I think that pretty much sums it up. I think we all agree that it is a great investment with the current market rate. It is a very good buy. Obviously, this isn't investment advice. This is purely for entertainment, so we can't advise you to buy any stocks at all. But from our point of view, it's a very good buy. There's minimal downside and huge potential in the run-up to the merger, with a lot of cash and a lot of expertise behind them. So just like to say, thank you for watching the World Project, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Thanks.